Hey there, everyone. Uh, I got a request from one of my viewers asking me to do a video on how to write a research paper. Now, writing a research paper in itself is a very huge topic, and there are books written over how you can write a good research paper. So, my attempt here is to summarize most of the things that I've seen and I've experienced myself while I've written my own research papers. And this is what I kind of generally understood about how you can write a research paper. The first time I was given the task of writing a research paper, I just went like I didn't even go to YouTube and searched how to write a research paper or anything. I just went to the net. I searched everything. I just found a general layout, and then I just wrote my research paper somehow. But it's not really that simple. I mean, you can make your research way more better if you do it in a systematic way. That's what I would like to say. I mean, research is something which is really very systematic, and the more you and the more systematic you become about it, like collection of data, structuring your research in the right way, feeding in the data, that being your first draft, and then reading it again and making the main research paper is somehow is one of those. This is one of those few things which you get over experience, right? Anyway, that's just to set the background on what it is like. It is interesting, okay, and it is rewarding also. If you do your research in a right way, you get a lot of benefit out of it. Well, uh, let's put those things behind and get on with the main thing. Before we even begin with the before we even begin with the flow of the paper, how it is supposed to be, the parts of the paper and the structure and all, it is obvious, like we need to really understand what it is that we are doing, like what is our main objective when we say we want to write a research paper. So let's just go through this. Okay, what is research? So a research is a carefully considered study regarding a particular concern or problem using scientific methods. Okay, now according to American sociologist Earl Robert Bavey, research is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomenon. And research involves inductive and deductive methods. This definition is actually very good in my opinion, because it really does uh, define research in one of the best ways possible. So research is a systematic inquiry to describe something, explain something, or predict something and control the phenomenon. Okay, and it involves inductive and deductive methods. I cannot help but realize the fact that it describe it the definition somehow um, tells us the types of research papers that can be. Research papers are of many different types. There are descriptive research papers which are exploratory in nature. There are research papers which are descriptive in nature, and there are research papers which are explanatory in nature. These are the let's say these are the kinds, or maybe yeah, these are the kinds of research paper. Usually, research papers are the purpose of writing a research paper are these. See, yeah, this is why. The why, I mean, why you write a research paper, the purpose behind writing a research paper is it usually fits in these three categories. Either it could be to explore something where you know, explore the questions, and you form, and based on those exploration of questions and knowing the possible answers for it based on previous research and based on research that you yourself like experiments that you yourself conducted, you can establish a basis for further more research in that particular field. So that's where exploratory research comes in, and then you have descriptive research, where you have more of the numerics, where you have more of uh, you know uh, uh, quantitative kind of, you have graphs, you have tables with values, and where you describe things based on the experiments that you conducted. And explanatory is also somewhere similar to descriptive, but you have more of words, and maybe questionnaire kind of a research would fit into explanatory one. But I digress. This is something which I found in the internet. I think it's a little different. I think explanatory would be where you give more of a reasons as to how you would expect a research, like how you would reason out why you had a particular result, based on the, why you had a particular result for the problems that were bothering the general public in brief. But anyway, if you were to look the three of these aspects in a much simpler form, I would say that this exploratory one is completely different, and when it comes to descriptive and explanatory research, it is somewhere the same. You can go forth and search in the internet whether it is so or not, and you wouldn't find much of a difference in these two. Well, anyway, let's yeah, so we just discussed what research is, we described why research is conducted. Now let's just talk about a review paper. Now, research, there's a difference between, like, it doesn't generally hit people when they think about it, but there is actually a difference between a review paper and a research paper, and you need to know whether you're actually conducting a research or whether it's a review that you're planning to do. Now, in a research paper is usually based on one's own uh, original research, which is based on their own experimentation of something, their own questionnaire on particular things. It is a research paper is based on one's own original research. But when it comes to a review paper, you do not conduct any new experiment. You you write a research paper on the basis of other published articles, and it does not report any original research. Review articles generally summarize the existing literature on a topic, and it explains the current state of understanding on the topic. So there is a difference in writing a review paper and writing a research paper, and you need to understand whether you need to first decide whether it is a research paper that you're planning to do or if it's a review paper. Well, the structure and all really doesn't change that much. I mean, while you are planning to outline your research, you will have a different setup as compared to a research. So you would omit, and you would go only with the you would omit the experimentation parts and the methods used and technical things like that, and you would directly jump into the different researches that has been conducted, and what your own opinion about it. So you would skip that methodology and methods part, and the part of um explaining the procedure and things like that. Okay, so there's a difference between review and research, and you need to know about it. That's done. Now we move to the types of research. Research could be qualitative or it could be quantitative. Qualitative is where you have open-ended questions, you have conversations or texts, maybe it could be an interview or based on case studies. These things come under qualitative because it is non-measurable information. So all research which comes under the non-measurable information will be classified as a qualitative research, and those research which is based on numerical data, which arises out of um, scientific experiments mostly, things like that which could be measured, okay, that would come under quantitative research. So these are the two types of research based on measurable and immeasurable information. We discussed about the why. This is very important. You will need to know what kind of research it is, why it is that you're planning to conduct your research, whether it is to explore something, whether it is to describe or explain something. Okay, so now moving on. Yeah, so with the theory out of the box, now we can actually discuss on how to write a research paper. So here you are, you just in the internet you are scrolling around with a topic. You got a topic, or you thought, okay, let's just scroll through the internet and just give a brief reading about anything. So you just sit around and you're doing it, and you read something which catches your attention. Okay, you notice that there exists a problem. No, but you don't know whether it's a problem or whether it's whatever it is. You read something and it caught your attention, and yeah, it has to do something. It has to do something with a problem. Obviously, you felt that there is something wrong. Okay, there something about one particular field is unknown, or you know that there's something wrong, or you just identify a problem. Okay, and it catches your attention and you identified that problem. Now once you identified the problem, you will have to ask good questions. That's when the research begins. Once you know, like, there is something wrong in the system. Let's take for an example, I did a research on abortion laws. I don't know if this is the paper. We don't. Yeah, fine. I'll discuss about the paper in a while. But when I was writing a paper on the abortion law, I found out that there is a difference of opinion on abortion laws around the world. There are some countries which have very strict laws, and there are some countries where the laws aren't even there. I mean, anyone can perform abortion. There's a difference of opinion. Okay, that's something where you have, and it catches your attention. It caught my attention, and I paid close attention to it. I was thinking, like, okay, why? Okay, so that's the first question, why? But it's broad, so you read more into it, you read more about it, and you come to know, okay, fine, there are various different reasons for why one country has a particular set of reasoning, why they have a strict abortion law, and why some countries do not have that strict of an abortion law. And then you reason out why you think it is a humanitarian violation. It's your own opinion. Okay, but the thing is, there should be something which catches your attention, and you'll need to identify the problem out of it. Okay, so that's the very first stage. And once you identify the problem, you need to ask the right question. I mean, you should not be usually if you are planning to get a good result out of your research should be having a really good question. It should be a question for which there should be a distinct answer. It shouldn't be something which should be an open-ended question, because open-ended question would throw you in a loop, and you would not come to a conclusion. Probably. I haven't discovered that avenue of writing a research paper which is based on an open-ended question. So anyway, you will need to ask some really good logical questions, and once you've got your question, you can move on to doing further research which is specific to that question. Now once you've identified the question, you will have to have an eye for what it is that you're reading. I mean, while you're reading, you should have an eye for the question that you're actually finding an answer for. Okay, you will obviously once you've got the question, you will obviously go through the internet and YouTube videos on lectures on the topic that you're planning to do. Maybe search the Wikipedia and go to the references and find out topics that are relevant to your to the answering of your question, and you'll find a lot of information. Okay, now when that happens, when you search the net and when you find the data, it is very very important that you store the data either on OneNote. I always prefer to use OneNote here because it's one of the, I don't know, I find it one of the best applications where you can just scribble down anything, like you can cut, paste, copy, whatever. Is one of the best things that I ever found. And with that, the source. Now, yeah, I can show you how OneNote helps in that also. See, so this is a statement that I cut pasted from the net, and while I did it, it automatically makes this from the place that you've downloaded, from the place that you've actually cut and pasted this statement. So it's one of the best. I find it one of the best things to use for my researches, for my research papers that I do. Okay, I'm not implying it. There are many different ways that you can do this thing, but it's very important that you mark the source, because often at times what happens is you go through a lot of papers and you realize while you're writing the paper that there was something you found very relevant for the subject, and when you actually sit to find out where it was, you completely forget the site from where you read it. So it's very important that you store all relevant data and with the source. Okay, so let's move on further now. Once you had the information, once you have the information, so when it comes to science background students or professors or whoever, it is like once you've conducted your experiments, once you have the data, okay, once you've done that, you can begin structuring the research paper the way you want. Now, there is no hard and fast rule. There is no one way of writing a research paper. Okay, there are many different ways, and there are certain preferences which people themselves find, which is very it's not a monopoly here. There is no one fixed way of writing a research paper, and it's something, it's a little flexible. But you should know what the main idea of conducting the research is. The main idea of conducting the research is that you go through other people's research paper and you improve upon the idea, or you make your own original research paper, and doing that you satisfy the need of the targeted audience. Now, this comes as one of the first aim of any person who is trying to communicate. You need to know what your audience is. That is also one of the main questions that arises when you are writing a research paper. You need to know what your targeted audience is, how much it is that you expect them to know from an average person on comparison. And that is important because when you come to the introduction part and when you're explaining the concepts, you will not be focusing your audience to be any average person. If your research is written for a person who is an academician with a particular degree, with a particular degree of knowledge to that person on a particular field, you will not be required to write down the most basic of the concepts. You will only need to describe the concepts which are not so unique or not so easy to understand for that particular audience. So knowing your audience is very very important. Okay, it came as an extra tip, I forgot to mention it here. You have to know your audience. before you write your research paper. Anyway, so you structure the research paper, and as simple as that, you just feed in the data to the structure that you've formed. Now we'll discuss more about the structure here, but let's just finish off with the main how-to. Okay, so you've got the structure down, you've fed in the data, and now finally you'll just proofread it, and you'll check the plaque results. You'll check for plagiarisms, and you'll check the plaque percentage. You have to, because if you are publishing it somewhere, they will have a software which checks for plagiarism, and they will red ink if you just simply cut pasted your work. So a research paper needs to be written by the original author himself or herself, and there are limits. I mean, depending on different publications, there are different allowed percentage of plagiarism. Some places it is 15 or 20%, and in other places it could be more than that. So you have to be aware about the percentage of plagiarism that a publication authority allows. Okay, that's important. Anyway, moving further, we can now go through the process of the structure of the research itself. Now before we go to that, we can go through it. But the thing is, the first structure that you make, and the first, like, if you follow this how-to part accurately, and you do it according to this flow chart, according to this structure here, if you do it according to this, you will end up in something which is called as the first draft. Okay, the first paper that you produce, don't consider it to be the ultimate, don't consider it to be your final research paper. I'd suggest you to think of it as the first draft, because I swear to God, whenever I made my research paper, I'd always end up omitting a few things, and so I add on, and then add on again, and then add on again. So never finalize your research paper on the basis of the very first structure that you've made, but it is always beneficial to do that, because the moment you start working on your research paper, instead of just collecting the information and keeping it in one particular location, and then deciding to write the research paper altogether, when you finally complete with everything, you might end up having a lot of omissions here and there. So it is always better to just start with the research paper once you know that you have all the required necessities. If there are blanks, no problem, leave the space for those blanks, and then just move on. Okay, now it is very important that you just don't start off with the research as soon as you are like, okay, today I'm going to write a research paper, and then you just opened up your computer and started abstract, let's start writing. But what the hell are you going to write? You'll have to be a little patient over the fact that you just can't go guns blazing on let's write a research paper. It's not possible. It goes as a common sense. I mean, you'll first have to conduct your experiments, you'll have to get the results. This is important. You'll have to get the results and frame a conclusion, and once you've done that, then you're ready to write your abstract and the introduction to the research paper. So if you're writing a research paper, don't start with the abstract and the intro. Begin with the chapters, begin with the experiments that you did, begin with the results that you got. No, experiments, and then the results, and then the conclusion. And once you've done these three things, then you will realize what the hell the abstract is going to look like, and what the introduction will be looking like. And I've seen it a lot, where people get a topic to write a research on, and they begin with the abstract, and I'm like, what? How would you, I mean, how could you even begin with writing an abstract when you don't even know what the hell it is that you're planning to write on? Okay, I've seen it a lot. I mean, these are not the I mean, these are obviously students here, but I've seen it. Do not do it. It's not how you write a research paper. You need to go through this. And it comes out of common sense to experiments. You find results, you get the conclusion, and then you begin with the abstract and the intro. Very, very important. Fine. So we begin with the structure. Now you're sitting down to write your research paper. You have all your information that you want. You've gone through a lot of other papers. Um, you've gone through other literatures and things like that. Now you're on to writing the research paper on the paper actually. Okay. So there are three different, like I've classified into three different parts. You can obviously put more into the chapters. Okay. uh, but this is the elementary, like these three things will always be there: the front page or the title page, the second is your abstract, and then you have the chapters. Okay. Now, based on various different publications, or on the basis of, if it's a competition, then they will have their own guidelines, and based on the guidelines you will have to adjust or adapt your front page, uh, the words, the sentences, the way you write everything, like the format of your writing. Okay. Now this is an example of my research paper. So you see, I wrote it on abortion laws. Now there is no fixed way of writing a there is no fixed format for writing a research paper. It keeps varying. I personally like to have my front page like this because it looks neat. Yeah, and there are, like, obviously anything, like if it looks professional, if it looks something which can catch the attention of a person, it is always good to go for that, right? Why not? And if it's something that you can do, why not? Obviously. So this is a header, and in the header I write the main title and the date on which the research was done. uh, uh, Alternatively, if it's a competition for which you are planning to write, you can, instead of writing this, you can write the name of the institution, the date on which the competition was held, or when you finished the paper. It's a choice. And then you have the main topic, the names of the names of the um, researchers, and then you have their affiliation to which university or to which institution it is that the researchers belong to. And then you have your abstract, and then the chapters. It begins with an introduction, and then you have the different chapters. Now I've seen research papers with a content. Okay. Where you put in the different you put in the pages and the uh, page numbers and the various different names of the chapters that you're including in the paper. In some, like, I haven't seen it in all research papers. Most of the research papers do not have this content page, and it starts straight off with the intro. But I think if your research is going to be very extensive, and if it's going to be very lengthy, then I think it is advisable for you to have a content page where you mention where it is that you had written a particular topic, so that it becomes easier for your readers to know to where to look for. Okay. um, but it's usually not preferred. A research paper goes on to probably 10 or 12 pages at max, and not more than that, because quite honestly I've tried filling papers with all the data that I had, and it really is quite sufficient for a good research to end in about 7 or 8 pages. And writing a research paper up to 12 page really has to be something with a really good, there has to be some really good literature review and really elaborate experiments to have been conducted to have a research paper go up to 12 pages and all. Okay, so I mean, if you have to keep your reader interested, it is also important for you not to unnecessarily write a lot, and to write those things which really puts an impact, and it's concise. So it's important, like a concise research is probably much more preferred over a research paper that is very, very elaborate. So you need to know when to put the full stop, when to put the period, and how much elaborate it is that you are supposed to be, depending on the targeted audience that you're planning to give your research to. Okay, so let's discuss these three things: the front page, the abstract, and the chapters in a little bit much more of a little more of a description. So the abstract is one of the most important part of the paper. I showed you the front page on how to write it. When we come to the abstract, it is one of the most important things for of your research paper, because it is, if someone has to if someone is interested in writing a research paper on a similar topic, your research, they will quite obviously look into your abstract, because your abstract is going to be a reflection of the main significant things that your research paper includes. Okay, so the significant things that your research paper will include would be the questions, which will be the problem, it will be the experiment that you did, and it will be the results that you got and the conclusion you made. Okay, so if you talk about the significant aspect of your research paper, these are the four things that will be of importance for any reader who would be genuinely interested in reading your research paper. So your abstract, on that basis, should be able to convey the importance of the paper, and that should be merged with the purpose. Okay, and also, other than that, if there is other matters of significance, then you will have to include that as well. And then you will have to discuss the method. You will have to discuss about the participants, on the procedure that you participants and the procedure that you adopted in collecting the data, or briefly. Okay, you don't have to describe it in detail, because you will do that when you reach the chapters. Okay, so here, chapters, you'll have to do that there. So, but you'll have to briefly describe about the method used, and then you will have to describe the result that you got, and finally the conclusion that you could make. Now that describes that. If you do these, then you will obviously showcase the skeleton of the whole research. Okay, the skeleton of the whole research that you did, and based on that, so it's like a service. You're providing knowledge to the people who would wish to improve upon your research. So if you do this, then it becomes a motivation for the other reader to who is like-mindedly writing a research paper on a similar topic. Anyway, so once you include all of these things, you can now move on to the content. Now, it's not advised. I haven't seen it in many of the research papers that I have gone through. But okay, if your research is extensive, you can put up this content page with detailed information on where your reader can get a particular topic. Okay, but otherwise it's not really that important. Now, after you've done that, you can continue with the introduction. Now, introduction is another main thing which a reader goes through. Why? Is because it is the part where you have to express your rationale, and that is the main aim of the introduction as well. So here you'll have to here also you'll have to show the importance of the paper. Wait 1 second, I'll show you why. Now abstract also, yeah, I was planning to show this earlier, but this is how you showcase the importance of the paper and you merge it with the purpose. See, abortion is a very common topic for discussion all around the globe, and there are laws which are made and amended occasionally with regard to the subject, largely due to the constantly changing understanding of the topic as we endeavor in making scientific progress. And then I wrote, so this shows the importance. Okay, this part shows the importance of the paper, and then here I wrote, the aim of this paper is to reason out the perspectives of various nations on the topic of abortion laws and to draw out a general conclusion with regard to what constitutes a country with its people having blah blah blah, whatever. The main aim of the paper is here, and the main purpose of the paper the purpose of the paper is here, and the importance of the paper is here. So you see, it brings out it brings out why a person should care about reading this paper. And fun fact, this paper got the best presentation. Like, there was a competition for which I wrote this paper, and it got a title, so it's good. Anyway, so that's basically how. So there are many different ways in which you can write your abstract. That is also another thing that I found out while I was doing my research for for doing this video. So there are, like, I didn't know it before, there are various different ways in which you can write your abstract as well. There are abstracts which do not contain the results. There are abstracts in which there is only there is only the aim, and the result is not mentioned, so that it captures the attention of the reader, and it motivates him to actually read the whole paper so that he comes to know what the result was. So there are different ways of writing an abstract. The more general one is where you have the results of your research. In my case, I did not do that. I somehow planned to go with the other one where you do not discuss the results. So I wouldn't recommend it to you. The best thing to do is to write the result, because when you do that, the other readers would really wish to know. I mean, the more obvious way of writing a research paper is to include the result. Okay, so it's important. Anyway, moving further, we have the introduction. So in the introduction, you have to again showcase the importance of the paper. It need not have to be in the same dialogue that you made earlier. You can change this a little bit. If you think it is getting repetitive, you can, instead of writing the importance of the paper, you can think about giving the background. What was the reason for which a scenario occurred? Okay, if you take an example of COVID-19, what was the background? What was the reason? When was it that things started coming into picture, and when was it that it became prime? Okay, something which gives the background of the whole scenario. So it need not just be the importance. You can incorporate the importance after you've done your background. So background could be the first thing that you write, or it could be the importance first, then the purpose, and then the background. But you can jumble here. It's not really a fixed matter as to this is how you proceed. Whatever it is that makes the transition smooth, like when you shift from one topic to the other, the transition should be smooth. It should not be repetitive, and it should engage the audience. So that should be the main thing in the mind. And so yeah, you can decide over this. I would prefer to go with the background first, and then maybe discuss about the importance again, and then discuss the purpose or the problems. But it could be jumbled. It's not really much of an thing to give a lot of time about. Anyway, now, but here the main thing is the purpose and the problems. The questions that you ask and the results and the experiments that you do and whatever findings it is that you make, it should all correlate with each other. It should not be that the question that you asked is something and the literature review that you did was on something else. That would completely destroy the purpose of writing the research paper itself. Once you've identified the question, your research should be very specific, and it should not cause any kind of deviations, or your research should not digress from the main questions, right? So you discuss the questions, and after that you can begin discussing the concepts. Now, based on your targeted audience, you will have to decide what the level of the discussion of the concept would be like. Now, if you're writing a research, if a mathematician was to write his research paper, or if the best example would be a physicist, right? So if a theoretical physicist who has already done his MSc is supposed to write a research paper, his targeted audience would be someone who is either maybe a student who is pursuing MSc in physics. So there would be many different concepts which he can omit from being discussed, right? So based on the targeted audience, it is important to explain the level of the explanation of the concepts would be based on that particular aspect. If you think it is not necessary, or if you think the idea is so trivial that anyone would be able to understand, then it is not necessary to explain anything here. You can move on to the next aspect, and that is to discuss the previous papers which have tried to answer a similar problem. Now, it need not like there's always this possibility that the topic that you're finding a problem in is something which someone has already done a research on, and that is the point of it. I mean, your point is to improve upon. There is possible that he might have found a conclusion which is universal or whatever, but if there exists a chance which can challenge that thing, why not? So you should not be worried about that. Your idea should be to improve upon it. Maybe you can find something which completes the research. Maybe the research is already done, but there is something which you found, or maybe there is some opinion that you would like to suggest which can complete the research in a better way. Okay, so your idea should be to improve upon something or to do an original research itself. Okay, so that's where you discuss the previous papers to explain, to find answers to a similar question that has been put. Now, this also causes a concern, like, okay, but we'll discuss that in a while. After you've done your initial discussion of the older papers or past papers on similar topic, now you can write the hypothesis. A hypothesis is a prediction that you as a researcher or researchers will make about a particular research problem, where you will predict. It will be your initial prediction, and your idea of conducting the research is to test that prediction, whether it's right or whether that prediction is wrong. So that's basically called hypothesis. So you will hypothesize, or you will predict certain things. It need not be just one. There could be more than one hypothesis to a particular research problem. You just have to be a little crafty about it. Just think of a particular topic in all different angles, and predict those different predict of the outcomes of, or impacts or effects of a particular event or scenario. Okay, so once you've hypothesized something, I think it is enough to move on to the chapters. Now, but there are other things. It's not the end of the world here. There are other things that you can include. Other things can be included here. it just goes on to your own creativity. When you're structuring your research paper, if there is something which you would like to express prior to you move on to the methods, it is good that you include it in the introduction itself. And then once you've done with your introduction, now you can begin with the methods. Your main chapters should begin here. If you're conducting an if you're conducting an extensive research, I think this is where you begin chapterizing everything. Obviously, the first chapter is the introduction itself. The second chapter will be the methods. Okay, so the method will include your participants, and it will include the procedure of collection of the research, or the design on how you conducted the research. Okay, based on whether it was based on experiments, and if it was based on experiments, then you'll have to describe those experiments on how it was done. Okay, so methods and experiments kind of go hand in hand, but I'd say you just make separate sections for each. So when you're talking about the methods, you make a section for participants, you make a different section, and in that you'll have to describe what participants you had, what age group they had. If it was to do with the ages, then you'll discuss about the age groups, you will discuss about their background, um, their status, maybe financial status, probably if you're doing something to do with finance. Okay, there are various different possibilities, and you'll have to discuss with your reader on on all the aspects that forms an important part of the research itself. So you'll have to discuss about your participants, you'll have to discuss about the procedure, okay, how you conducted the research. So after discussing the methods, you'll have to go for the you'll have to describe experiments if you have done any. If you haven't done that, I mean, it's okay. If it's a questionnaire, then you'll have to discuss about the questionnaire, how many questions you included, what your main questions were. Okay, those are things that you would have to include here, and then you will discuss the results. All of these are different chapters, of course. The results will tell like the results will discuss about the number of participants who opted for a particular option, probably if it's a questionnaire based research. And if it's based on experiments, then obviously the results on what the numbers were. Maybe you can showcase it based on graphs or charts and tables. Okay, you just be pie charts. If it's questionnaire based, I think it's better if you make it in the form of pie chart, or maybe in the form of a bar graph. Okay, if it's something to do with finance, then I would suggest you go with a line graph or something. So there are different, like the graph or chart which makes the expression more logical is the most preferred way of describing the result. Okay, so after you're done with the results, you will now move on to state whether the hypothesis that you made was correct or whether it's incorrect. Either way, you'll have to give the reason why you think the hypothesis went wrong, or if it went right. And that's where the writer's opinion comes in, and that's where he or she is supposed to make recommendations on the research that the person has done. But that need not be as a separate or maybe I think, yeah, it's better to do what would be better would be to probably put this hypothesis after you compare hypothesis, yeah, this validation of the hypothesis after you write the comparison. So I think it's better this way, that you write the results first, and you can then compare it with the previous papers if you like. If it's not necessary, then do not do it. If it's not something which you can compare, if there is no if there is no difference or anything that you find would be worth mentioning, then it's not needed, and you can simply move on to whether the hypothesis was correct or not. and then you can give your suggestions. You can give your own opinion on it, and you can give your recommendations, and then finally you can conclude it with a conclusion, and with that it would all end. That's it. Now there are a few things that I was thinking randomly while I was planning to make the video, and I think it's good if we discuss that a little bit. Now, you see, there are many times what happens is you choose a research, and when you go to the internet to search about it, you don't find material, and it happens often. I mean, I've had this problem so many times that I was working on a paper known as corporate criminal liability. This is that paper. And when I started writing the paper, the matter on this paper was so limited, okay, that I practically didn't find it almost anywhere. I mean, it was very hard. There were paper, but the topic of the paper was really not what I was after. So I was talking about the lacunae in the administration of the corporate criminal law. Like if you are a law student, then you will understand the problems when it comes to corporate criminal justice. But if you're not, then obviously there's no point in describing the problem here. But when you actually go searching for this particular topic, you don't find a lot of material, but you'll find it like in 99% of the cases, I'd say you will always have some or the other material in Wikipedia. Now I know what you're thinking. Wikipedia is not the genuine site from which you can take your material from, and that it is all, and that the matter written in Wikipedia could be edited and things like that. But what the real implication of finding information in Wikipedia is to look at the references that you can find down below in the Wikipedia website, Wikipedia article that you are doing. So let's just search for it once. Okay, corporate criminal liability. Let's see if we have a Wikipedia article on it. Do we have one? Yeah, corporate liability. Let's just go to this corporate liability. This is one of the fun things that I'd like to that I always plan on doing before writing any research, is just to go for a Wikipedia article, because this is one of the best places to get your information from. Now if you go down, you see these things are really very, 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 very important. You can obviously not take any information for granted from the material that is written here, but from here, corporate criminal, this is a research paper, corporate criminal liability 2002 volume 39. This is a research paper, and you can probably get this. I'm not sure if this particular thing would be available. I mean, that's one of the part of the research itself. You have to find everything out. But let's just see if we can find this article. See, so you can do your research this way. If you get stuck, I think this is one of the best ways that you can find a research paper that is based on the topic that you are planning to work a research on. So here I find this research paper popping up on the same topic, corporate criminal liability. So that is one good way on how you can further search for material that you want to search on. And the next thing that came onto my mind was about Blue Book citation. Okay, in many different cases you have formats that are prescribed, and usually in India it is the Blue Book citation format, and it's the 19th Blue Book that colleges usually prefer, but we have an improved version now, 20th Blue Book. So I mean, it depends on what Blue Book citation it is that the organization or institute or publication wants. So you'll have to make your format based on their requirement. Okay, so that goes for the Blue Book citations here. Then always stick to the guidelines that the institution or publication gives you to follow. And yeah, you can also now this isn't the complete picture of how you can write a research paper. There are books written on how you can write a good research paper. It is always advisable to search on Amazon or Google on a book, and if you really want to be a professional research paper writer or researcher or something, then it's always advisable to buy a book and read a lot on that particular topic, and really own your skills. But you'll obviously you but as I've seen, I think it's best to improve your skill by practicing it out, by writing as many research papers as you can. And with that, you'll also meet so many different people. Yeah, I completely forgot. This is also very important. When you're writing a research paper, do not stick to your own self. I think it is always advisable to ask around your friends on a particular topic. If they are from the same background, I'd suggest you to just have a word with them, discuss it out with them on what they think about your research, and uh, just have a general discussion so that you have different angles. And the more angles you have, the more perspective you have about different perspectives that you have of looking on your research paper, then you will have more insights, and you will be able to write a better research paper. So it is always advisable to discuss it out with people, and have different perspectives. Then the last point that I'd like to mention is about the submission. Now, I would recommend you to not submit the research or publish the research paper as soon as you finish it. I'd recommend you to keep it for 2 days. Okay, after you've proofread, after you've done everything, it's over, and you're like, okay, let's just submit it now, it's over. I would recommend you to keep it for 2 more days, and then on the second or third day, you take out the research paper and you read it again. Why it's important is because once you've done it and once you start reading the paper again, you will see that you've made omissions. It's possible that you've made omissions, or it may be that the words that you've used is so uh, difficult for any intended audience to understand. Then you'll have to change a little bit so that it becomes more clear. So for the sake of really understanding the clarity of your research paper, I would recommend it to you that you do not submit it as soon as you've completed it. You keep it for 2 more days. So create a space for that also before you submit the paper. If you're planning on finishing a paper in a week, then you should be of the opinion that you finish the paper in 4 days, or maybe 4 days, and then to wait for 5 and 6, like the fifth and sixth day should be where you just completely don't care about the research, and on the seventh day you read the paper again and you find out the lackings. And once you're completely satisfied with the thing that you're seeing with the research paper, with the research that you've done, then I think it is safe to submit the paper. And it's always beneficial if you proofread it, not just by you but by also someone who you can really trust upon, um, that you can really trust upon, for the sake of copyright issues if you're really bothered about it. Okay, so I think that concludes everything that I know about how you are supposed to write a research paper. I could have missed out something, it's possible. If there's something I miss out and if I remember something, then I'll link it up in the description. And if there isn't anything, then I think it is quite the end. Let me know how this was. I tried my best and I hope you all liked it. Thank you.